Yeah. Yeah. Get down.
You don't wanna see me in the street.
Get down.
Packing word instead of packing heat. I'm a soldier. Hey. Soldier. Hey.
Welcome to Set Free Journeys, the lifestyles of the saved and dangerous. I am the Chief, aka Dr. Phil, the real Dr. Phil, and my co-partner in crime, Sunday, all the way from Hawaii or Hawaii. One of those type things like that. Hey, thanks for joining us on the journey that we're on there. And these are stories, and our first episode, first, second, and third episode today is about my assistant here, Sunday, who is just, she's been with me for the last 12 years, I think it is. And so we've taken you through a whole lot. Make sure you watch episode 1, episode 2. And we've traveled all over the place. We've been in the Army. We've been in Vegas. Man, we've just been everywhere. The ups and downs of life. And now we're having kids. And now we're back over here in California. Mm-hmm. And if you would, Sunday, when you came to me 12 years ago, if you could kind of give me a little overview of the last 12 years and what you are doing now.
Yes. So, I don't know. I got here, I had no idea what to expect, but I was very institutionalized, right? So I could definitely recognize systems that were in place. You know, you recognize who the leader is, you recognize what the system is, right? And what those things look like. And so I remember getting to my dad's, and I was in the back of a 2-seater, which there's no back seat. Right. From San Diego all the way here because my dad had booked the ticket to San Diego on accident. So he drove all the way out to San Diego, and I just remember coming down the escalator, and they had this sign that Blanca had made, and everybody was standing there, and it was like the first time I felt like people were excited to see me. Like the first time in a long time.
After all you've been through, now they're coming back over here.
Yeah, and so we came to your house, and at that time it was where MJ's house is, but it was still the rock pool, and then there was that little area you used to sit in. And so we had to go up there, and I got to meet you, and then you said, okay, are you ready? And I said, yes. And like my dad's brother showed up, my Uncle Roddy showed up, and he came to meet us at the church, and like all of these things were happening. And I was like, well, I hadn't seen this in so long. You know, I was so used to people shutting the door on me or me having to make up some excuse. Like I told you in episode 2, like I couldn't even go home. My mom had her sister check that I was really pregnant in Oahu before they even flew me to the final island.
But now you're being received. Everybody's love on you.
Yeah.
And now you got to get grounded. So what was the first thing that happened?
I went to Broadway Treatment Centers at that time. It was when we had the long table in the back at MJ's house, and it was like orange or something. And so I went there all day. And then from then, I believe I went to my first house in California with the family, which was the Palmyra house. Okay. It was like yellow, and there was a white picket fence, and I had never seen.
These are different houses that I leased so we could help people out.
Right. And I had never seen anything like that, right? Like, I mean, whether it was Hawaii or whether it was San Diego. In San Diego, I was such a little girl, and we were in Lemon Grove, you know, El Cajon area, and so that's the hood. And then I went home, and it was Kingdom land, so native land is not very developed either, and so it was.
So you're used to the country type farming land, and all of a sudden now you're in the city.
Right, with a white picket fence and the triangle roof and everything that you see on TV that I had never experienced for a living situation in my life.
Now, are you off of drugs?
Absolutely not.
Okay, absolutely not. But you're trying to make it work. So how long did that go on for before you finally got clean?
So, I mean, I just remember it took me about 3 days to navigate figuring out what Kat was doing so that I could because again, I only had the tools that I had, right? Like I didn't know how to communicate. I did not know how to have authentic conversations. And God forbid I would acknowledge any of my needs, you know?
Kat, for those of you who know who Kat is, you know, she's a tweaker that got clean or kind of clean.
Yeah, my
and
first
was
sponsor.
helping me out,
Yeah, my first sponsor. And so I found out that she was talking to Uncle So-and-so, and I was like, all right, Kat, so if you're going to do that, I get to do this, right? Because again, the only tools I had,
so you were still coming
manipulation.
in and, you know,
baby viper snake, manipulate the situation, work it out to my authority, because I had no idea that I wasn't in charge. I had no idea that the problem was me. I still lived in those two sides, whether it was victim or self-righteous. I just kind of flip-flopped from one side of a polarity system to another.
The drugs was just a symptom,
Right.
of the problem. And
Yeah.
here you're still discovering that you might be the problem.
Yeah, I definitely am aware that I'm the problem. I'm definitely aware that I'm the problem now, right? But even that, there's still so much unlearning and relearning to do that I feel like I'm still such a baby in all of it, And so I was at your house with Kat, at Palmyra House with Kat, and eventually I found myself a hostage and I took off. And then I came back and I lived at MJ's house, which is MJ's house now, in the side where the little bathroom was. So I could go through the bathroom as an exit. That didn't last very long. Just no consequences for my actions, no accountability to anyone. And what I really can identify at this stage in life is I hadn't built any authentic, real relationships. I hadn't built any friends. And because I didn't allow anyone in, none of the real me came out. And so until that gets to happen and we're able to be accountable to someone and responsible for someone, until we can do that.
You hadn't as yet become planted.
Correct.
You've been running and gunning,
Yeah.
moving and grooving. You've been all
Yeah.
over the place and stuff like that. But somehow I'm working to try to get people to stay still,
Yeah.
so they can get planted, get some roots,
Yeah.
and grow as part of a family. And you've been doing your thing. You're in survival mode.
Yes, for sure.
Making things happen. So when did you even first? We know that you were taking hostages, meaning she was taking other people out of the home.
Yeah.
To go play whatever with her.
Whatever.
And
Whatever bright idea I had at the time.
When did you ever feel that you actually started to plant yourself?
I really think it was the first time I had to have the hard conversation with TJ. I remember Trina Joy calling me, and I was supposed to come back from Hawaii. First, I went home to go see what was going on with my kids. So this was in 2000. So I came in 2013, and now we're in 2016. Because I took a hostage, ran away, took another hostage. That didn't work out. CSI, crime scene investigation, whole bad story. And then you let me come back to Black Sheep at that time. Okay. And then I went to go sign the rights over to my kids for 2 more years because I didn't want to give up my parental rights, but I knew I wasn't ready. And so I had to go sign over 2 more years of temporary guardianship is what they were calling it. And so I was going home to do that. And when I was coming back, I got a phone call from Trina that was like, hey, you missed your flight on the way there? I was like, yeah. And she's like, and you just got another one? I was like, yeah. And she was like, okay, so are you coming back? And I said, yes, please. And she said, okay, not here right now. And that was the first time I ever felt like I had established enough of caring about anyone that it hurt my feelings.
Right.
Everyone else, it was all my life, right? All my life, it was like, oh, we don't want you here. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to burn the whole circle down. Or, oh, we don't want this. Okay, I didn't want you anyways. You know what I mean? And there was all of these things that had happened.
Yeah, you were already ready for it. You had your
gone,
side,
halfway out the door, like that valley of, or 1 foot in and 1 foot out. You know, I had been that way for so long. But in 2013, 2014, I think I got locked up again, met Susan, whatever. And during that time, I'm sitting down in a jail cell looking at Pinky and Felony, whoever else was there. And a lot of us, shout out to my sister Felicia and Felony and all of that, they're all sober now. You know what I mean? And so I'm sitting around the table and I'm looking around and everyone's like, and I think Susan said it, right? She said, hey, who wants to get sober and stay sober when we get out of here? And I was like, you're so full of shit. Like, nobody wants that. Who wants to deal with themselves? You know, like that doesn't even sound fun. But when I said it, I saw others people's faces and I was like, huh. And I could think for that second, like, okay, maybe I'm wrong. My eyes were open a little bit, right? And then we go into the evening time and the girls are sitting around the glass and I'm sitting there because I have to be behind the glass. I'm not allowed outside to play with others. And they had made like checkers or Monopoly or whatever it was, and they would flip for me. And so we're playing cards, and I was hearing the conversation, hey, are you going to go to this store? Are you going to get this food? And I just felt it. Like I felt like, man, I don't belong here anymore.
Okay, yeah.
You know, and
that was that moment, you know, or
Yeah.
that thing, you know, that wake-up call, if you will.
well, and that's scary for someone like me, right? Like I had talked about it in the other episode too. Like my therapist and I realized I learned some things backwards. Prison was a great mission for me, right? Jail was a great mission for me. So for me to sit in a cell and feel like I don't belong, that's the only place I belonged.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to not belong in the only place, whatever state it was in, because I've been in Clark County jails, I've been in Hawaii jails, I've been in California jails, I've been in Texas jail.
So
you
what
know?
happens next?
So we get out June 11th, and funny the way God works, right? I got to your house June 11th, 2013. Running, gunning, being crazy. I get out of jail June 11th, 2016. And so it's like the exact same date. We skipped some years, but it's the exact same date. And I was like, all right, this can't be a mistake. Like, this can't be a mistake.
All the stars were lining up.
Right.
Everything's happening. Yeah.
And so I don't fit in here anymore. It's the exact same date. I'm going to call this a do-over. Like, I'm going to give it a real shot, and I'm going to call it a real do-over. And I'm going to, no matter what, right? But when you make those kinds of declarations, I've learned when I make those kinds of declarations, the enemy hears too, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So it got challenging. And so June 11th, I got out. June 13th, Susan got out. She was my only real friend in there. And in the midst of court and everything else going on, she says, the only place I was ever able to stay sober was at Broadway Treatment Centers. I don't have insurance anymore, and I ruined that chance. And I was like, wait, I'm going. So this is already something that's different, right? Every other time I went to your house, I took somebody from there. This is the first time I brought someone home.
Brought somebody there. So
Yeah.
you get over there to my place, Black Sheep Recovery, which was one of our treatment centers at the time.
Yeah.
The two of you came in there, and how did it go?
I mean, it went good for a while, right? I'm on high control, so my PO decides to come over. They show up because I'm a flight risk, bulletproof vest, guns drawn, and we're in the middle of a Bible study.
Yeah.
And I just remember saying, why are they like this? Like, why do they? I'm not even going anywhere and throwing this tantrum. And
Still
you were
playing
like,
the blame game.
yeah. And you were like, go see if they want coffee. You know what I mean? It was like real simple. You would give these real simple instructions that were so easy to understand. And you didn't need to give me all of the psychobabble behind it or all of the other stuff. It would be a direct, precise order. And that I can do. You know, my head was so loud and there was so much going on all the time that simple little statement was like, oh, okay, fine. You know, and then I would go, make coffee, search my room, and then they're gone. They did it a couple of times and that was it. I go back to court, here's my paper, I graduated my 60 days, and the court says, they don't accept it. They don't accept it. You've been there too many times. That's your family, friends, or whatever. That doesn't count. We want you to do a real program, 60-day indigent, low-bottom recovery. Go over to Cooper Fellowship. And that's
Okay,
really
good.
where the journey started, you know?
Okay, good. So you get over there, and it's serious business over there, you
Yeah.
know, and you really got called on your stuff.
Yeah.
And that's where your sobriety started.
Yes. So that's where it started because I wasn't no longer allowed to have anything, right? There was no smoking. There was not even Monsters. I couldn't even drink a Monster for the first 60 days. Well, 30 days, because after 30 days, you're allowed to go to the open meetings at Cooper Fellowship. And Susan and Vince would show up and slide the Monster and pretend it's hers. And I could take sips of it during a
Right.
meeting,
Oh,
you know,
still
just like
getting
little,
away with little things, yeah.
just little dumb stuff, you know. But I remember like being told like, and this has always been Sunday's MO, right? Like, so I got told, okay, it's time for you to go on job search. And I knew like the chef was already like hitting on me and giving me extra sandwiches and whatever else. And so I already knew who the hostage would be should I choose to run away. But I also knew that I didn't want to run away anymore. Like I had already put in 60 days worth of work over at your guys' house, even though Simi Valley happened, right? And I already put in, and so now Trina's saying, love you, baby, come back when you've got some time. And then PO backs it up by saying, oh, and besides that, we want you to go over here anyways. So like even that wasn't my idea.
Yeah, everybody was calling you on your stuff in a good way.
Yeah,
what
in
we
a
think
loving way.
Yeah, what we think maybe is negative is actually a good thing. It's God working in our lives.
Well, and it's crazy because I had been so well adjusted to two things: telling people I don't want nothing to do with them and disappearing, or them telling me they don't want nothing to do with me and disappearing. You guys said this behavior is not okay, princess, but never disappeared. And that was unfamiliar to me. You know, that was unfamiliar that people wouldn't say, hey, no, not okay. But then not just completely abandon
See if
it.
you can remember and take me to the time when you got 1 year.
Man. Okay, so my sobriety date is March 28th, 2018. And for that, all of you guys get the credit. God gets the credit. My sisters get the credit. You get the credit. My dad gets the credit.
So you
right?
kept it going
Yeah, so
on this run from Cooper Fellowship
yeah.
to
Cooper
Broadway.
Fellowship. I pushed it all the way the 90 days and had no job in the midst of it all. The chef started hitting on me and said, okay, well, if you're on job search, I was like, I can't be on job search and come see you at a meeting. And he's like, use my car. So I took his car and I drove straight to the DMV and put it in my name. And I drove that car for 2 years. And then I had a car.
Okay, you had
So-
a car, but you didn't do any drugs.
No drugs.
Okay, yeah,
So-
but you still had
Behaviors.
some kind of scandalous behavior.
Character defects, right? And I would hear it at the meeting. You can take a drug addict, horse thief, and remove the drug addicts. He's still a horse thief, right? So the behaviors were still there. And that was really what God had to work on me to get those behaviors. God's still working on me to get those
I
behaviors
hope
out.
you are listening, tuning in. These are nuggets of wisdom falling all over the place because your story is their story.
Yeah.
And my story.
When I hear your voice in my head still, right? When it happens, it's like, he'll only be working on you for the rest of your life.
That's why we're talking about set-free journeys. And this has been a journey.
It has.
It ain't no
It
overnight
has.
stuff. And that's the important thing. People want it all fixed quick. We've got that same old, I want it and I want it now type behavior.
Well, impulsivity and hustle and game recognized game. I can get it all, right? I could get it all quick. I can't keep any of it. That was the problem. My character defects, these things that I learned, these shortcuts that I took, all of these little things that were super unhealthy for the soul was all I knew how to do.
Yeah.
And so it really is a slow churning, working on. And then when we recognize, like we were talking about it at Bible study, for the past couple of weeks, I've heard stumbling blocks, right? We've heard it at Trina's Bible study a few weeks in a row now, like not to become a stumbling block for anyone. My actions are going to become not to be any of it, right? Like if my brother doesn't eat meat, stuff like that. Like I hear it differently every year that I hear it. What it meant, don't be a stumbling block, was like, don't offer. At 1 year, it meant don't offer my brothers and sisters weed or whatever, even though I didn't smoke it or something like that, And now it's more of the recovery, which is getting rid of those character defects, right? And then the discovery, what will happen if I get rid of this, which is such a big part of who Sunday is, right? If I get rid of this, and the therapist mind says you can't just get rid of stuff, you have to re-implement stuff, right? So you can't just take something away without adding something good.
Right.
So they kind of go like this, right? Recovery and discovery. I have to pull away some things that I had learned, but I have to pack it with stuff that's good. Otherwise, you have this big gap, and in those gaps is where we get loaded. And so I got a sponsor. I got to work right away. I'm sitting in a meeting. I'm looking around. Everybody's happy. They've got jobs. I know I just jacked this fool's car, like legally jacked his car. He can't do
Right.
nothing about it. Now, he went and complained to the director, but that's fraternization. So now he's fired, like house, job, car, everything. And I know I'm responsible for that. I know he has a part in it, but the shame and guilt because I hadn't done my steps, I was responsible for that.
Yes.
And now we're at my 6, 7, 8 months sober. And I'm sitting in that. Dang, Sunday, even sober, you're a horrible person, Even sober, you can't trust people, right? Like even sober, You're super using of your wiles, and I used to talk about it a lot, right? That movie, The Players Club, where Diamond and her little cousin are sitting and having a conversation, and Diamond's like, hey, you need to do more. She's back in school or whatever. I'm showing my age. And the cousin goes, well, you got to use what you got to get what you want, right? And I remember being the cousin saying, well, this is what I got. I'm going to use it because I know it's an easy bait, right? And then I also understand feeling like Diamond now, where it's like, dang, baby, you think that that's all you got? Like, that's all of your self-value is intangible or looks or lies or any of that stuff, you know?
So you're starting to uncover, peel back the onions, they say, realize that, you know, what really am I worth? You know, what is my value? Who am I? All these type of things are coming to you. Yeah. And does everybody, you know, have to go on that journey?
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's none of us can get out of that. That's something that we all got to do. We're all playing follow the leader. Yeah. And we all are sheep, like the Bible says, you know, who have lost our way, and we need the great shepherd, and we have under shepherds that come into our life. We call them sponsors, mentors, you know, life coaches, all of the above.
Yeah, spiritual advisors.
Yeah, so here you are. So when did you get your first year? Where did you celebrate 1 year clean and sober?
Garden Grove Alano Club. So I graduate from the program. I, of course, come back to the family and I'm like, Trina, I'm graduated. I did all the meetings. I got the sponsor. I did the steps. I did all the things, but they won't let me graduate unless I have a job. And she says, all right, call MJ. You can start tomorrow, you know? And so right back again, just freaking myself out, knowing to call a big sister and never being shunned.
And what was your job? What was your job?
So I started off as a tech, and I was working graveyard shift for...
Okay, in a treatment center.
Yeah, for Imagine.
Beautiful. Okay, so you're coming to give back, as they say, you know. You're working with our own kind of people, addicts, you know, people in recovery. And so what was that like coming back, working as a tech?
It was interesting because I feel like, and I still feel this way, right? This is why I went into school for this. This is why I'm continuing education in it. It's nothing new under the sun. My dad used to call them familiars. And you used to call it like when babies are 2, they cry. When they're 22, they cry, right? And the way I see it is I get this really unique opportunity working in treatment to be able to work with that version of Sunday and that version of Sunday and that version, because everyone, like, I've been so sick for so long that to see the girl that comes in the booty shorts and wants to sleep with all the boys and the whatever, right? Like, no judgment. I was that girl,
you see
right?
yourself in all
everyone,
that,
And even when the boys come in, it's like, nah, I'm good, you know, like all of that stuff. Like, I recognized so many different times, and transference, all of that stuff. So education helps me framework it so I don't personalize it, right? I walk in, empty canvas, all of that stuff. But man, there's nothing like the law of the buy-in, the relatability, the understanding that, like, hey, I've been there, you know, I've been there too, baby. And I understand that you're screaming at me, calling me cunt and all of this other stuff, but I don't see any of that. I see the pain that lives behind their eyes, the fear of them being able to show themselves, because if they do, they won't be accepted, you know, and to love them past that part to where you get to a place where all those false exteriors are gone. And you get to actually see, sometimes it takes a year, sometimes it takes 2 years before you even get to see who they are, you know? And so I think that first year was eye-opening because I never met a client, if you will, that didn't have something that I either I experienced or I recognized.
Definitely relatability of something like that. So here you get your first year, you're working in there. Had you started going to school yet?
That was my second year. So 2016 we got out, 2017 we started college.
Okay, so you started college, and why did you want to start college?
Susan was going.
And Susan, your cellmate.
Yeah.
You know, the one that led you over to Set Free and Magic House.
Go
and
best friend.
all that we do.
Yeah.
So you guys decide you're going to go to school. And what did you enroll in?
So I think she started dating Vince, and on their first date, he took her to
And
register
Vince,
for
for
school.
your information, we got a lot of unidentified flying objects here.
Yeah.
He's another tweaker, ex-tweaker.
Yeah.
Who, so he becomes a student, fellow student. So
Yeah.
you guys are all going to school.
Yeah. And the fellowship grew in another place, and another place, and another place. And so we get to Cypress College after he's graduated already. And so we get there, and I think it was my first 2 years at Cypress where, 100 forms of fear, right? Alcoholics live by, addicts live by 100 forms of fear. And so for me, it was like, man, I'm 40 going back to college. Like, this is not the business. My classmates are the same age as my kids. So even like on my lunch break and stuff, I would go hide in Anne Marie's office. And so eventually I noticed other people that were off to the side or were sitting in class like, man, what am I supposed to do? Can I stay in this class or do I sit in my car for an hour?
So once again, we talk about all the time. We don't want to get, it's uncomfortable, but we got to get uncomfortable before we can get comfortable.
Yeah.
And so this is all happening in your life, and that's another part of Set Free Journeys, the lifestyles of the saved and dangerous, is on your journey here. What you're saying is, hey, if you feel a little awkward coming into school, that's how you felt.
Me too.
You know, the age group.
Me too.
And I think about it myself too. When I came out of prison and I went into Bible seminary, man, it was all 18 and 19-year-olds, and here I am, like I says, in my 30s, going to school, and here you are, 40s going to school over here.
Going to school, all tattooed, loud like me, and showing up like I stand out.
So you see it kind of weird, and you see some others like that, so you're spotting things, and what does that make you want to do?
Well, I keep inviting them. Mind you, she's got an office maybe a quarter of the size of this. She's an adjunct career counselor, part-time. So I'm like, Annie, we're going to need the keys to your office soon. And she's like, you guys need to start a club or something. Like, you need to do something.
Okay.
And so that was my first experience at understanding the Chancellor's Office of California, what an ad hoc is, how to start a student club, what ICC is, which is inter-college clubs, or ICC, inter-college clubs and stuff like that, and really understanding the college experience, right?
So here you are, you're in school, you're a student, you're learning, you feel a little uncomfortable, but you're seeing opportunities here, and what do you start?
We started the Fight Club, which stood for From Incarceration to Empowerment. And then when we got the Fight Club up and running, they said that we want something to support the students. And so we started what was called the LIFE program, Liberated Intellects for Excellence was our acronym. But then the LIFE program needed funding. Student success programs, you need funding. Like you have Puente program and all these other programs, they have residual funding. And so I was like, all right, well, where do we go to get residual funding? And so then we spent the next 2 years in the Leadership Institute, where I got to travel to all these Ivy League schools around the nation and really get to see what it looks like to collect, acquire, and request residual funding for something that will leave a legacy somewhere.
So you start this Fight Club, do you get and your clientele are who?
I went to Stanford University. I got my undergrad at Berkeley Law. We went to Columbia University in New York.
And other students are people just like you?
Uh-huh.
Are they ex-cons? Are they people formerly incarcerated?
Yes, all formerly incarcerated. So what I recognized really early is that all UCs have an Underground Scholars Initiative in the state of California. They have universities, which all have underground scholars, and then they have the Cal States, which all have Project Rebound. But the community colleges didn't have anything. And the reason being, there's 12 over here, there's 15 over here, there's 154 over here. And so no one had really been able to organize that many schools. And so the Chancellor's Office, the state of California, who's in charge of adjusting funding, whether they take it from CDCR or allocate it to here. The budgeting, which is the Chancellor's Office of California. So now I'm learning politics and the way government works and all of this
now,
stuff.
it sounds to me like I says the Sunday who's been through all those different stages in your life, and you've done things maybe on the other side of the law, but still, exercising your smartness, about getting things done. You're putting that now. It's the same energy we go on the negative side. Now you're doing that same energy on the positive side.
Yeah.
And you're doing something. It's not just for you, but it's for others. And one of the things we say around here, I know Alaka says, is our dream is to see your dream come to pass.
Right.
And
right.
we're finding out, you're finding out in your life, I found it out in my life. Like I said, the greatest high is seeing others make things happen for them and watching them, watching them grow and watching them glow.
Yeah.
When we start seeing those things like little kids, but there are spiritual kids.
The glow up is real around here.
Yeah.
The miracles are real.
Whether they're starting a business, whether they're getting a relationship, or whatever it might be, all of the above, and we're still learning.
Yeah.
All the time.
Absolutely.
So you're doing that in school, like I says. And before we go to our next episode, so here you are, you're learning all this kind of stuff. What's another highlight before you come to where you're at right now? What's another highlight that came after doing your school things? You got to travel to all these Ivy League schools.
Yep.
You got to help others who are formerly incarcerated, getting them in there, getting computers, getting funding, all this kind of stuff like that. What other cool stuff has happened along that journey?
Along that journey, philanthropic company Michelson MM shows up, and I get published for the first time. It's called the California's Best Practices, the Prison to College Pipeline. So we all know about the high school to prison pipeline for lower socioeconomic classes or BIPOC students, right? Us brown babies go to prison 10 times more than the rest is what it is.
Right.
And so how do we now imagine what it looks like to have a world that creates a pipeline to bring them from prison back to school and giving them an education and giving them those second chance and being a participant of the creation of California's Best Practices, part of that think tank, being a part of ICNRC. So in the state of California, if you have a RAD-T or a CAD-C or any of these certifications, license numbers, any of that stuff through CCAP, you take what's called an ICNRC exam. It's an international exam for substance abuse and behavioral health. And so being flown out by ICNRC to help design this generation's test, like I said, so being published there, being published over there, helping write the test for the future of the next 10 years of substance abuse counselors. But I think one of the things that stand out was getting the Visionary of 2023 from CCAP, the Visionary Award that you walked in with me, and to see mental...
Let's say that again. You got the Visionary
Yes.
Award of the Year 2023.
For the entire state of
For
California.
the whole entire state. I got to be there when you received that.
Yeah.
I know where you were working, all the things you're doing. You're writing curriculums. You're counseling people. You're going for what degree now?
My master's.
Going for your master's degree. All this is happening from that little rascal, went to Hawaii, to California, to Vegas, who caused this drama, and all those different type of things. Just a crazy, crazy, wonderful, wonderful life.
Yeah.
And like I says, our next episode, we're going to talk about what is happening in your life now. Can you think of anything before that you'd like to mention?
Just that if I would have been given the opportunity at any time, even today, if God were to stand in front of me and say, Sunday, what do you want for your life? The only thing I know is that I'll cut myself short. Like I can finally dream again. And sometimes my dreams are crazy and I gotta get corrected. We'll get into that, I'm sure. But I have hope again. And I can dream again. You used to say it to me all the time. I want you to have hope like a child. You know when kids are little and they're like, I want to be an astronaut and I want to be a fireman and I want... And you've always said that, right? You want that for us. And I get it now. When I see the girls that we're raising in the sober living. Oh, and we have a women's sober living. We have a Tulsa sober living. I get to go to Oklahoma all the time. Like, there's so much good stuff going on. But really, being in the trenches and watching. Today, a perfect example, one of my girls came and she said, hey, the second half of class, we were talking about grief and loss. And I was like, and what do you think about that? And she's like, well, we learned about the 5 stages. And I was like, and what does that mean for you? What stage are you in? One could identify the stage they're in. The other one couldn't. The other one couldn't even use her words. All she did was cry. To be there, to just, I don't even have to say anything, right? To just hold them while they cry. And just be there and be, Risky said it a couple weeks ago, to be that person that I needed when I was going through that, to be you for me, best part of my life. Like, best part of my life. And I get to do it all day. Every day. We do stuff 6 days a week here. And it's cool, the resources, the referrals. I didn't realize that God had me go through 20 different treatment centers to get it right. So that when these girls are asking, where can I go? I've got 20 different resources and referrals because I walked it out the hard way, you know? Right. But just to be there and be able to be present for someone as they have a breakthrough that I know, right? As people that have experienced it, we get to watch them go through something that we know is going to change the fundamental who they are. And then to be there and just kind of breathe life into it and water and water and water and see what the next version of them looks like. I'm excited. It's like opening Christmas presents all day long. Like, big sleepover, every morning's Christmas, and we get to open these Christmas presents because I don't know what comes from someone who isn't walking in grief anymore when she gets to heal.
And just this weekend, one of your co-partners who does the Wellbriety with you, we got to celebrate her 2-year-old's
grandbaby.
birthday. Grandkid's birthday party.
Yeah.
That would have never happened. You know, that's why we call this the Set Free Journeys, because back in 1982, God had me start a place called Set Free Church.
Yeah.
And that's why it's setfreeanaheim.com. You can go there to find out about what we're all about. But we're on Set Free Journeys, and we call them the lifestyles of the saved and dangerous because we're working with some rascals. We're working with some gangsters. We're working with all kinds of people.
World shakers.
Oh, world shakers. We're talking people off the cliff. We're talking people out of taking lives all week long. I hear different people who are upset with other people and mad at other people.
Yeah.
And we're the peacemakers.
And this is the peacemaker. We're the peacemakers on this, and in the emergency room status. You've got world shakers around that you've been raising, like, I would just use myself as an example, for 10 years, right? The Visionary Award happened in 2023 because I do a lot of things different than the substance abuse field does, right? And recognizing this intersectionality where, like, a therapeutic license says you cannot have a dual relationship, per se. You cannot go out to eat with them, all of this stuff. If that were the case and I wasn't White Bison and Generation Red Road certified to back me up, I wouldn't have been able to see that 3-year-old birthday party, 2-year-old birthday party, because that's considered a violation, right? You know, all of these things. And so in really raising world shakers and really raising you, we get to envision a different world, a healthy and healing world, but we can't do it without each other. Like, we need each other. We need the team. We need the family, because I'm not good at everything. Zoe's amazing at stuff. Everybody has their place, everything in its place. And as long as we communicate and we stay together and we know where we're at and we serve God, like, as long as we're on the same page there's no stopping or even understanding what gets to happen next, you know?
Oh, I'm telling you, hey, Sunday's speaking, you know, words in my mind, like I says, because we are on fireworks side. If people talk about, you know, having a revival, we are living a part of a revival, you know?
Absolutely.
Today I was doing a podcast with Pastor Derek Gates.
Yes.
You know, and, you know, he's came to our ministry meeting the other night. He got excited. He says revival's going on. It's the vibe is in the air. It's happening.
Well, and that's not the first time someone's told you that. We've had many a pastor show up and be like, "Wow, this is what happens here."
Oh yeah,
like, this
we got
is
the
real.
emergency room. We talk about Holy Ghost hospitals.
Yeah.
Set Free's got an emergency room, and people are dying, and people are coming to life. It's
All
happening
day.
all day long. And Sunday is one of our products of the Magic House.
Yeah.
And she's a product, and she's a project.
A project for the rest of my life. I'm a rookie. I'm a baby. I'm still learning, and hopefully, I'm humble enough to always remember that.
You know, and so please tell other people about our podcast. Go to setfreeanaheim.com. The next episode, Sunny's going to be talking about what she is doing now and what she plans on doing, the future, what's going on. We'll share with you a little bit more about the Magic House, as we call it. Magic House, Texas, in the mix. Hello, sister out there.
Hi, Mama Liz.
And, you know, I just want to give thanks because, like I said, our executive producer, Pastor Anthony, the head of our Set Free, we got a Set Free University. Join our Set Free University.
Yes.
Right now, the last free offer is there because we're going to put a payment to it coming up next week. So this is it.
Get in where you
let
can.
us know if you want to be part of Set Free University. We got Zoe over there in the cameras. We got Slow John over here on our sound.
Yeah.
We got a crew here. I mean, one of us is going to go faster. A team of us can go farther.
But it's like you always said, right? The miracles are in the room. The thing that I recognize about America in general, right, is people go so fast that they don't take the time to see the person that's in front of them, and they miss out on all these opportunities and the miracles that are right there in front of them. So.
Oh, yeah. I just want to close with this. You are tuning in to the Set Free Journeys, the lifestyles of the saved and dangerous. And I got a beautiful wife. We've been married for 47 years. And I'm just telling you, you know, God brings people together, you know, relationships together. So next episode, we're going to be talking about how's your love life. And we'll tell you about our love lives and a little bit of everything going on in the Set Free world. And so... So be in prayer because Cindy heads out to Oklahoma Wednesday this week.
Yep.
And we're just reaching out. You know, we're the mission fields everywhere.
Yep.
And we're becoming all things to all people that we might win some to the Lord Jesus Christ.
Yes.
And so, Cindy, any final words?
I just love you. I love you. I love you guys out there. Like, I'm just... I guess Monique said it best today, right? Like, I'm just in gratitude. I find myself calmer every year. I find myself more peaceful every year. The chaos, the fight, all that stuff. And getting to see the next version, and the next version is
Yeah, another unidentified flying object was Monique, the girl mentioned right here. And Monique spent the last 2 years with us, and now she's going back home to raise her children.
Yeah.
What a great thing.
And take care of her mom.
Yeah,
Her
it
mom
might have
had
taken a
surgery.
couple years, but you know what? She's ready.
Yeah.
Things take time, the big 3 T's, you
Yeah.
know? And the light that shines brightest at home shines farthest. So make sure that you take care of yourself first.
Yeah.
Take care of your own household first.
Yep.
And then we'll get out there and reach out to the world. And just, hey,
I got an acronym. You want to hear it?
let's hear it.
It's for time. This I must earn.
Okay, there you go. You heard it first right here. This was Sunday. I'm the chief. And we love you.
Love you guys.
Stay high on Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah. Get down.
You don't wanna see me in the street.
Get down.
Packing word instead of packing heat. I'm a soldier. Hey. Soldier. Hey. Soldier. Find me on the battlefield.
Down.
You don't wanna see me in the street.
Get down.
Packing word instead of packing heat. I'm a soldier.